can't believe I have to make this video. Vinted are going to sue me. I'm only human. I got excited about some details and I mixed them up and gave a wrong example and conclusion. So a quick correction to yesterday's video. I said that Vinted would pay the VAT for now and then stop, which is what they said. But that was, and what I said was confusing, and I mixed up two different taxes. In cross-border sales, the UK VAT, when selling inside the UK, is different from US import duty and import fees, which is why obviously I made that connection when Vinted said we will pay the VAT for now. That was down to my due diligence. I should have realised there was a wording error there from Vinted, and that's not what they mean, clearly. I think anyway. I'm pretty sure this is the right correction. So if a US buyer buys an item from the UK, it is import duty and customs that applies, and that's charged under the US Harmonised Tariff Schedule, HTS for short. Import rates vary depending on this code, this HTS code. So there isn't just one single VAT style percentage that applies to items. It's varied. So I'm sorry to you, the viewers, for any confusion, and I'll give a little breakdown. How the US import duties actually work. This is the short and factual stance on it. Because when Vinted say they're going to pay the VAT for now, surely they mean this. They mean when the customer from America orders something, they're going to cover their import duties. I'm guessing they should have used import duties instead of using the term VAT, value added tax. They're two different things. Similar, but different. So for example, your £50 item, the vintage jumper example that I used yesterday, it's going to look higher and more expensive to the customer in the US once Vinted finish their goodwill gesture of paying for that import tax. So they're obviously covering it from the US side, not the UK side. I would imagine that's what they mean. So you're still going to get your £50 and all of it, but the US buyer is going to pay more after their goodwill thing. So what are they going to do? Just hook in all the US market to buying in the UK, and then when they take their for now away, it's going to leave those Americans wondering, well, I can't buy over there anymore. Or have they got a deal? But let me give you a simplified breakdown version. So duty is based on the HTS classification. Every product is classified under a harmonised HTS code and the US. HTS lists the duty for that code. You must know the HTS commodity code to get a precise percentage of the item. So you don't really know unless you actually follow that code. Now, normally you wouldn't have to deal with all this. This is what the back end does. This is what GSP deal with. This is what Vinted, I'm guessing, will deal with, unless, of course, you become responsible for dealing with that international shipping. We just don't know yet. Vinted have kind of dangled this over us and gone, guess what's coming? And of course we're going to speculate. It's our job to. So who normally pays? It's the importer, the buyer. The buyer pays duties unless the sale used is an Incoterm like DDP, delivered duty paid, where the seller agreed to pay the duties, which doesn't really happen that often. In most marketplace consumer sales, the buyer ends up paying for the import fees. Recently, the de minimis and the low value rule changed. The US de minimis duty-free threshold, which was previously $800, has seen a policy change just recently in 2025, meaning that many low value parcels that previously escaped duty are now subject to customs reviews and fees. So this has got a real effect on small sellers shipping to the US. If you or I relied on the previous $800 or lower duty-free, that's no longer a safe assumption. Things have changed, mainly to do with the high import of cheap goods from China. I think that's why it's all being done. I will leave under this video a few links for you to go and look up stuff and research it yourself and see where I've got the information from, so you can really familiarise yourself with this, especially if you are planning to really utilise this international shipping side that Vinted are trying to implement. So the current market rate for the US dollar is around about 1 to 1.32, give or take. So £50 is about $66, straight conversion. Now, why the duty percent varies? Again, you can look all this up in the links provided in the description. But you must choose the HTS code for that item. For example, handbags. They're under Chapter 42/HTS 4202. T-shirts are under 6109, electronics under 85XX, and the HTS gives the rate of duty for that code. It could be 0%, it could be a single digit percentage, or double digits depending on the product and any special tariffs. I think hi-fis and things like that get a bit of a pass, like high luxury goods and high-end consumer stuff. So I'll give you an example showing the math on the screen here. Pause to read that, I'll go back. So TLDR, I mixed up the information yesterday and got too excited. If a US buyer buys an item from the UK, it's US duty fees and possible courier fees that matter. Duty is set by the HTS code, so there is no one-size-fits-all percentage. Check the HTS or a real tariff calculator. For our £50 example that we used, that's about $66. Duties can be anywhere from $0 to $16.50 or more, depending on the category. See how confusing it can get. Plus any other courier processing. Sorry for the confusion. I'll put the links up and you can check them out yourself. But most of the video still stands. I still think it's going to be an absolute S show for a while. Hopefully they can sort it out, but there's lots to talk about when it comes to Vinted international shipping. So please, Vinted, please don't sue me. Please don't sue me. So with that being said, I am going to go and start an OnlyFans channel now because I need to sell myself in order to pay for my legal fees for when Vinted sue me. Really need to watch my mouth. See you in a bit.